Imagine it's a year from now, you're in the same place, maybe you have no role, maybe you have no promotion, maybe you have little pay, you have the same problems. You've worked really hard all year, but nothing has changed. You still feel invisible. You feel like the last 12 months have just been a waste of time, and you're no closer to getting into the career that you want. That's where so many community managers end up, and it's not because they're bad at that role, it's because they make the same mistakes. So I'm going to share with you 9 mistakes that are quietly killing your career and how to avoid them, how to move forward so you can progress. So number 1, trying to prove your worth by doing absolutely everything. It is tempting to just be the person that just works so hard and does absolutely everything that you can think of in order to succeed. But the problem is with that is that most of the time when I see people doing that, they are going around kind of seeing what's out there, seeing what other people are doing, and they're taking that and they're applying it to their own work, their own career. But the same thing doesn't work for you because your audience is completely different. So if you're trying to impress your boss by just doing absolutely everything, you are going to become burnt out. You're making it 100 times harder for you to do the actual stuff that will impress them and will actually pick your career up. You'll feel like you worked so hard, but no one cares. No one's looking at you. No one just recognizes you for all the effort that you're putting in, and you'll start to resent the place that you're in. Maybe you start to resent the employer. Maybe you start to resent the actual job, the actual role. So how to avoid it? Deep dive into what your audience actually needs. You need to understand exactly your audience's fears and desires. Like you could just recite it straight away and just be them. Just embody them and just get into their heads as if you are that person. If you're not sure how to do that, I do have a free 30-day career upgrade plan that does walk you through that. And that will help you identify a few things to apply right now and achieve it very quickly. Connect the members' needs to the business goals and achieve both of those things together and communicate that with your boss. And you will see a massive difference. You'll be speaking their language and they'll understand what value you've brought to them. And you won't have to work all day, all night to actually impress them. So number 2, waiting for permission to lead. Now, this kind of applies to 2 things. It applies to you in the actual role and you being a leader in the community. Even if you're not the leader yet, maybe you're a moderator or someone kind of below someone else who is leading the community, or you're looking for a role in community actively right now. If you wait for someone to tell you what to do, then you're just slowing down everything. You're slowing down your whole career, slowing down your whole life. You need to take actionable steps right now to get where you want to be. Whether you're in the role right now and you're just going by what they tell you to do, that's not enough. You need to be the person actively giving ideas and giving ideas based on what they want, what they need, to show them that you're not just someone following blindly. You are, giving value. You're actually thinking about your role and actually actively trying to improve. And that makes you stand out. Same as if you're trying to find a role in community management, you need to actually show them what they need a lot of the time, because a lot of the time they don't realize that. Just demonstrate, whether you're in the role or out the role, demonstrate to that person you're targeting, your boss or potential employee, that you understand the role, you understand what value you are giving, and you can take it one step further to impress them with the value that you could be giving them. They just don't realize it. And that's how you get promoted. That's how you get a role. And that's how you get noticed compared to everybody else. So number 3, staying stuck in support mode. So this is about pigeonholing yourself into one specific area. We as community managers are not just support people. We don't just support individual people in their issues. That's a part of maybe the community you're in and so part of a solution to the product. But we don't want to be the ones directly involved every single minute of the day, 24 hours a day, sorting out individual customers' issues, because at that point we just become like a support manager. You don't want to become like the go-to person to do that, because you will be placed to a side that you necessarily don't want to do. And you'll be spending a lot of time just kind of giving your own time to one person and not being able to actually expand that over many people, and create systems to do that. So similar to the other point, the way we can combat this is just don't position yourself as the person who wants to do that or is doing that every time. Yeah, it might be a part of your role, and we could slowly kind of transition off that and create systems or hire other people to deal with that. But if you show up every day to a meeting and be like, yeah, I helped this person, I helped this person, I helped this person, that's all you say, then they're going to think of you as the person that's great to do that. And, you know, in my experience, that's not really what I would like to do. It's not what a lot of community managers or community leaders really want to do as their whole role. It's not that specific job description. So don't come to the meeting and just talk about that. You need to come to the meeting and you need to give ideas, you need to give strategy, and you need to show that you are a leader, even if you're a moderator, and give ideas. Give them ideas. Give them things that you think would actually bring value. If they don't like those ideas, that's totally cool. It's just showing that you are taking initiative to really think out the box and not just, again, do what everyone else is saying. So don't keep yourself in one aspect. Don't show up and show that you're only good at that one thing. Make sure you do more so you never are pigeonholed into one specific thing, such as support. Number 4, neglecting your professional brand. So you could be, you know, someone new to community management, or you could be the best community manager in the world. And if you don't show your value outside as well as inside of the organization, then how is anyone going to know what you do? How's anyone going to know that you are good at what you do? And if, you know, maybe you're in a position right now where you are finding a role, or maybe in a position where you've done it before, but you've lost your role. If you don't show people and you don't specialize and really focus on the thing that you are good at and showing that you are a great community manager and you bring value, how are they going to pick you out from everyone else? And just to add to that, maybe you've done some really great work in the role that you are in, but you forgot to share that, you forgot to write that down, and you can forget that. And sometimes stuff can be credited to other people around you. People don't know that you've done a thing a lot of the time if you don't share that. And it's important to share that internally and externally. So how do we do that? It's very simple. Aim to share one post every week on a platform of your choice that is reaching out to the people that the right audience for you. So probably LinkedIn, because you want to get employed. So that could be an idea you've had. It could be something you've done that week that worked really well. It could just be an insight, kind of just a thought you've had, something that you noticed that was interesting, like anything. It doesn't have to be something amazing, big every time. But if you do that consistently every week, you have things that you can look back and remember and maybe create bigger case studies on. And you won't forget the things that you have done, and you'll become a thought leader. You'll become someone noticeable in that space. And also just gives you a boost up. You may get opportunities that you didn't even realize that were there just because you've done this. And it's always good to just have those opportunities on hand. Even if you don't take them, you want the most opportunity for yourself. So number 5, avoiding data because it's intimidating. I get it. Like, setting up tools in order for you to track what you've done is intimidating because that gives a value to what you have done, like an actual measurable value. And that can be intimidating because other people will see that. And if you don't reach your targets, then it's, you know, a bit scary. But with community management, you know, everything's a trial and error game. So it will allow you to see what's working, see what isn't working. And then when it does work, actually share that in a meaningful way. If you don't track this, then how do you expect other people to really understand the work that you are doing? Because if you come up to your boss and be like, hey, yeah, like the community is going really well, everyone's happy, they don't necessarily care as much as someone else coming up to them and being like, yeah, I've increased engagement by 70% in the feedback channel, and that has improved directly our product. And as a result, we have more customer retention. and maybe even give like a specific value to that, even if you can, that to them is something is very valuable to them to bring to even their boss, and that makes them look good, and that makes you look good because you have contributed to the success of the business, not just the success or the happiness of the members. So number 6, not building transferable skills. It feels great to be the person that knows everything about the tool you're using. Like maybe you're using for your community Discord or Slack, or maybe, you know, you're not in a role yet, but you know everything about it and that's what you've focused on, just knowing, just becoming a wizard at that one platform. That's great. You know, obviously the platform that you are using or want to use in your work is useful because you can maximize and optimize your community if you know the tool best, but you can't rely on that for a career because platforms disappear, platforms change, and also you don't want to be the tech person. You don't want to be the person everyone goes to just because there's a technical issue with the platform. You don't want to become Discord's personal tech support. And I don't mean it's not important to understand the tool. I just mean that's not the only thing that you should be focusing on. You need to learn actual strategy, actual user experience, actual ways to do your job and to bring value to the role that you're currently in. If you know how to research and understand your audience and then bring that to an actual actionable strategy and trial and error that until something works, and then bring actual measurable results, those skills work anywhere. Those skills work on any platform. You won't need to be scrambling LinkedIn for specifically Discord moderator, Discord community manager, Slack community manager, because you won't be tied to one platform. If you get a role in another platform, that's totally cool. You can just learn that as much as you can. There's tons of YouTube videos on that. You don't need to be that person who only knows that one thing. So number 7, measuring success by member happiness. Now we have touched on this already, but it's not sustainable at all for you to measure your whole career success, your whole role success, just on how happy the members are. And the reason is you may feel very fulfilled and you are doing a great job because everyone's happy. Like in theory, if everyone's happy, then what's the problem? But the members aren't the only thing that you are meant to keep happy. You have been hired to a business, and that business wants to see results, and happiness is not the only result that they want to see. In fact, happiness in their mind, again, does not translate directly into anything unless you really explain what that's translating to. If you only focus on happiness, your role kind of becomes a popularity contest, and that is a hard one to win and a hard one to maintain. You would have to do everything right all the time, and everyone needs to love you and love what you do every single time, and you have no room for trial and error. If maybe leadership, for example, makes a decision that you don't necessarily agree with, and you're the one that has to deliver that, and they might not be happy with that, you don't want to be in that conflicting position. Happiness alone is not going to get you a role, and it's not going to get you a promotion. So yes, you want a good relationship with your audience, with the members, but you need to always communicate and tie that into what your goals actually are for the product or service that you're supporting. You need to tie those things together and really deliver on that. Because yeah, you could go too far one way, you could go so far audience, and then obviously that doesn't help you with your career. You could go so far with the business, and then all the members would hate that. And obviously that does happen. You need to blend together. So number 8, ignoring burnout signs until it's too late. I have been there. I have worked so hard, and I've put myself in a position where I am doing things, just trading my time to make a very small portion of the community happy, and that doesn't work. If you do this, you'll get completely burnt out, and you need to be able to spot when that's happening. It's very easy to start new initiatives that can be even very effective, but really take too much of your time. I've seen many professionals do this, even ones that are, very senior, And it just makes your whole role unenjoyable, even if it is effective, even if you're doing very well and everyone's very happy, even if leadership's very happy, you're bringing value to both audience and business. If it's something that's unsustainable and, you know, it means that you can't go on holiday, it might mean you have to be up every minute of the day to sustain something. It's just not gonna work out. It's either in those situations, you'll need to communicate with your manager on hiring someone else to support you and sharing that load, if it's effective and if it's worth doing, or you need to reassess and think, is there a more strategic way I could be doing this that wouldn't be just trading my time? Is there a kind of system in place that I could put? Is there an automation even that still is valuable and still is very personable? Or is this something that just isn't really worth it? You need to be able to spot before you burn out completely, and you should not put yourself in a position where you are not allowed to leave that community because it will crumble without you. So last one, number 9, forgetting to plan your steps. Now, this is somewhat ambiguous, but it's extremely important. You need to be able to assess where you are right now, and you need to be able to plan where you want to go later on. If you don't do this, you'll be stuck in a position, or maybe in just doing the same tasks that maybe they once were valuable, but now you've learned all that you can from them and you're not progressing in your career at all. And you need to be somewhat selfish in this because, like I said, maybe you started that and it really worked out and it really was something that you learned and enjoyed. But if it comes to a point where you've just got everything out of it, you need to be able to have that conversation and really assess first with yourself where you want to go. Maybe if you want to stay in that specific company, where you could go and what roles may be suitable for you, what could you see be beneficial to you and the company. Maybe that role's exhausted, you don't see any way through there, and you could look for other positions. Community is one of those things that you can go from complete beginner to more of a lead, and then even beyond that, you could go on to operations, you could go into directing. There's many different things beyond that, and you want to progress through that. You want to path through that, but that's dependent on what you want to do, what you see yourself enjoying, and you know, those things become clear in the moment. You don't need to necessarily plan 10 years ahead right now, but just think to yourself, like, what am I enjoying? What do I see myself doing right now? What would I want to be doing right now? And just having that conversation. If you plan your next steps, you have the opportunity to communicate that with your manager if you're in a role right now, and explain to them where you would like to go and why you'd like to go there. And quite often they'll be very happy to hear that, because that should bring more value to them. You've gained this experience and now you want to go a step further, and of course that helps them. So why wouldn't they want that? So I've seen those 9 mistakes hold back many people from getting into the career that they want and progressing at all. I've seen people stagnate for years, and that's not going to be you. I have a free 30-day guide if you haven't checked that out, if you want some extra help. And also, I'm willing to meet with you personally and just chat about your issues, you know, what you're struggling with right now. Just reach out to me. There's a link to my LinkedIn in the description. I also have a Discord if you wanted to reach out through there. And honestly, just reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about where you are right now and go through ways that we can kind of get through what you're struggling with at the moment.